Buongiorno. We're gonna do an entire new separate video on this. You know what it is because it's the video description. But basically, we're gonna change the way that the supercharger turbo system runs. We're just going to run it full compound. So when I mean full compound is we're going to take the inlet of the supercharger and then just feed it straight into the turbo. Mainly because intake air temperatures are getting a bit out of control, and considering we're only doing one lap at a time and we're not doing laps and laps and laps like a like a race series, the intake temperatures just aren't good after one lap. So this is the old intercooler. And if you remember, the way we had this set up is that we had these bottom 3 rows here for the supercharger, and then the remainder of the core was what the turbocharger fed in through the bypass valve, which is this little throttle body here. Now I chose this size of intercooler because by the time we had to height the throttle body on there, we didn't really have much room to get a pipe from the turbocharger into the intercooler without having something custom made. So because we're going to bin this off completely, means that we can go for a bigger intercooler. So I'm pretty sure you can see already that this intercooler is a lot bigger than the old intercooler. In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll do a quick side-by-side comparison. So we've got a taller core, we've got a wider core. We're still on the same 60mm thickness of the core, and that's given us a lot more surface area, which translates into a colder intake charge. Unfortunately, it's not going to fit as is out the box. We're going to have to do some modifications to it. So as you can see, it's a typical intercooler that we're all used to seeing, where the inlet and outlet are parallel with the core. But I'm going to change this because it's not going to work with our current setup. So on this side, which will be the hot side, we're going to have a top entry. So we've got a direct feed from the turbo into the intercooler. And then on this side, I'm going to do a back door design to feed the throttle body. Now, really simple job to do. We could just get some flat plate on the CNC and we can cut out some really boring shapes, and I'm pretty sure by now you know that I don't like flat, boring parts, and I've got a pretty sick idea in my head that's going to make this intercooler pop. You're not really going to see it because it's going to be hidden behind the bumper, but I've got an idea that I'm pretty sure by the end of this video is going to make you go, wow. Wow. Let's crack on. I'm at this point. End tanks are on the core, but it's just, I don't know. I thought I'd be really stoked when I got all these welded up, but it's not looking the way. I don't know. I don't know how my vision looked, but it's not that, because I'm not jumping up and down saying how fucking over the moon I am with it. It's actually the next day since the clip when I was welding them up. I put a post on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, to sort of see what the consensus was. And one of the comments was, it kind of looks like a Louis Vuitton man bag. And ever since I've read that comment, I just can't unsee it. So I've decided to abandon these end tanks. They will go sit in the office looking pretty for people to look at when they come in, but they're not going to find their home on this intercooler. A couple of reasons why is I think the hexes are too close together. They're quite deep, which again was what I wanted to do, but I think that just gives the overall design a bit of unnecessary depth, and I didn't give myself enough bleed line. So what I did is I left like a 2mm gap all the way around the hex of the material for the weld pool to bleed into, and because of that it's actually bled into the individual hex pockets, and we haven't got a consistent looking weld all the way around as it sort of dips in and out of the pockets. So I'm going to remake them. I'm going to do a version 2, basically learn from my mistakes or my design choices. I think the design idea is a great idea. I've just, in this particular case, I've executed it really poorly, so we're going to fix that. Well, wasn't that a bit of a palaver? So yeah, I am really happy with how the second revision of end tanks have come out, and just for a bit of comparison, here's the old ones. Well, the first ones that I did, and yeah, this looks way too flashy. This looks more like jewellery than anything else. This looks a bit more functional. Now, you could argue that it's a bit too posh for a race car anyway. It's more to showcase what we can do for your build. So if you've got a show car build, this is the sort of stuff that we can do for you. But yeah, the intercooler is on. As you can see here, we've got our cold side piping on and we've got a hot side piping on. Only had to redo this pipe ever so slightly, but I'm really happy with how that's come out. And while I was in there, you may or may not seen is I've also redone part of the supercharger plumbing, and that's because we're going to redo the way that the supercharger is going to work on this setup. I'm not going to go into that now, that's going to be a whole separate video. We're just waiting on some parts to come in from GFB that they have kindly said that they're going to give us, and that's going to help us do the supercharger side of things. Other than that, I've had to trim the bumper a fair bit and also do a bit of trimming to the grille. At some point this year, I do want to make a new bumper. I have got a Super S bumper somewhere out of fiberglass that I intended to fit, but I may make something a bit more purposeful and a bit more time attack inspired. But anyway, that's it for this video. Honestly, put your comments down below what you think of the intercooler. Do you think it's cool or do you think it's gash? You know, really give me your comments down below. Yes, you know, it's more an aesthetic thing. Otherwise it would have just been a flat piece of aluminium. So yeah, as always, if you enjoyed this type of content, comment down below, like, subscribe, share and all that bollocks. I'll see you in the next video.